Welcome to the Divorce Diaries podcast, one man's anonymous and live account of if he should get a divorce or stay married. He's been cheated on and he's cheated. Protecting the innocent with changed voice patterns, the omission of names, ages and genders. His authentic journey and account of the daily events of his marriage are helping him sort out his feelings and not get lost in the ups or the downs. New episodes are released daily. Welcome to the Divorce Diaries podcast. Entire seasons are released on Patreon weeks before anywhere else. At Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Link in description. Now for today's episode.
Today is Christmas Eve, and I am supposed to be on a bus right now up to Rockefeller Center to see the tree with my youngest child, and I'm not on that bus because at the last minute my youngest child backed out and said that she didn't want to go because of some difficult family things, and pretty much the same script that my soon-to-be ex gave to everyone about this COVID outbreak in New York. I don't trust it, vaccine this, vaccine that. And then there was some unsafe things thrown in there about family members. I can't be too specific, obviously, because I still do protect the innocent and want to protect the innocent. It's really unfortunate that now in this divorce, my wife is making the choice to continue to talk to children about adult matters, or even matters that just don't concern them. If I were to go back, because I did a lot of ranting in my first set of recordings where I was just really angry and toxic and bursting at the seams, I was in my phase of red pill rage, of not really comfortably accepting facts and reality. I was just mad at reality. I was mad at the person that my wife is. I was mad at the person that my children became. I was mad at the person I am. I was mad that I didn't see certain red flags. I was mad that I contributed to our problems. I was mad that I hurt people. I was mad that I was hurt. I was just mad at the way that things were. That is what red pill rage is. You're mad at reality and you aren't accepting it, and you're just angry. And that's what I was doing. And now that I've come to a place where I can more comfortably accept reality on reality's terms, I now accept that my wife is manipulative. I accept that my wife is manipulative. I accept that I did not see my wife as manipulative, and I would make excuses for why she did manipulative things. My wife talks to my children about me behind my back. I now no longer try to talk to my wife about why she does it, how she does it, that she shouldn't do it, how it has affected everyone. I no longer do that because that's when I was in my my red pill rage phase. She is a gossiper that talks about people behind their backs, and she leaves out things from stories to garner favor from others. I can say that calmly now because I no longer try to fight that or present it to her. Hey, let me show you what would be the outcome of you saying this. Let me tell you how leaving that out, look at how that affected our family. Now I say, oh wait, accept it. She leaves things out of stories to make herself look better. You are married to this person. You were married to this person, which is why everything sort of happened the way that it did. And in my hope and try to be, I will be a very open book that can contrast her being a closed book. Well, that only... Okay, let's give it an example that can be specific. Two people make a plan to go into a store and rob it. Okay. We both go into the store. I steal 2 t-shirts. The other person steals 2 t-shirts. We are going to leave the store and we're going to split up. I get caught with my t-shirts. The other person gets caught with their t-shirts. We're separate, being questioned. I say that I came into the store, I planned to steal these t-shirts, and I took 2. They're in my bag. Take them. The other person says, I came into the store to steal 2 t-shirts, but then I had second thoughts. That last part, it might garner some favor. It might, from the officer or the prosecutor. They may say, what do you mean you had second thoughts? Well, I knew it wasn't right. Okay, tell us more. I just did, because that is a fact. They both knew that it wasn't right. I just very cleanly said, I came in, I planned on stealing 2 t-shirts, and I stole them. Here they are. But the other person said, I didn't really want to. Well, if you can tell us about something else the other person did, we'll let you off from the t-shirts that you stole. Okay? Well, I know that they stole candy from the drugstore the day before yesterday. Wow. Thank you for saying that. That's what we needed. We'll go and arrest them for both crimes. Thank you. You're free to go. The part that the person left out was, I was with them when they stole it. Or the dishonest police officer potentially not saying after they said they stole candy. Well, how do you know they stole the candy? Well, actually, I was there with them. Okay. Did you steal anything too? Well, yes, I did. I also stole candy. But that would have to be 2 questions that you would need to ask. And my wife's that person. You have to ask her the right question to get the right answer. Because if you don't, and she tells the story the way that she tells it, and you believe it 100%, you think that you are getting the entire story, and you'll quickly realize you are not getting the entire story. And you would say, why wouldn't you say that? Why wouldn't you tell me that part? Why would you say any of it if you would leave out this part? This part that you left out leaves me to believe that you just went into a store and watched someone steal something. It doesn't lead me to believe that not only did you steal t-shirts as well, you also stole candy, and you and this person are partners in crime, and you guys go and steal things. My wife has always been very deceptive. She's always omitted things. She's always told a version of a story to a certain person to garner a certain favor, told it to another person to garner certain favor. And now that I am 100% done with her, let me back up. I'm now able to be 100% done with my wife because I fully accept her. And there's no more room for excuses. There's no more room for me being unsure of who she is. There's no more room for me thinking that she might be unaware of the toxicity that she's putting into the world. Now I fully understand. She knows exactly what she's doing. When she talked to my son and they were referring to me in their chat messages as the monster, him, that guy, where she was living with me, continuing to take my protection and provisioning and my financial support, when she said, hey, my son was going to get his realtor's license. As soon as you get your realtor's license, I'm going to leave him. I'll be your first customer. And coming home and giving me kisses. Talking about how our days were. Even though it wasn't great, our marriage wasn't great. But she was saying that to my son. And coming back and loving me. Or loving on me, I should say. Spending time with me. Going out to dinners with me. Going to happy hours with me. But she was talking to my son like that behind my back. Really tough. Telling my teenage daughter that I, quote unquote, cheated on her when we were 16 years old in high school. Yes, we broke up and I had another girlfriend. That's a fact. But why not say that? Better, why not say you didn't break up with me at one point and got another boyfriend? Why not say that you had a boyfriend when we met? Why not say those things? Oh, I know why, because the kids don't necessarily need to know that stuff. That's okay. But why say one thing, but not the other? You shouldn't have said anything. We were young kids. Things happened and we were trying to figure it out, I guess. But now looking back, my wife has always been this deceptive person. I don't know that she ever broke up with that guy that she was with. Because I remember saying, are we boyfriend and girlfriend? Are you mine? Did you break up with him? I always had to ask. There was never a bunch of or series of statements like, hey, just want you to know I broke up with that guy and I want us to be an item. It was never that. I always had to ask, did you do this? Did you do that? Are you with this person? Are you with that person? And if it wasn't for my honest youngest child, comes to me and she's like, Mom says you had 3 affairs. Whoa, wait, what? And she was 8 at the time. 8? 3 affairs? I didn't have 3 Okay, what are the 3 affairs, honey? Because you're obviously talking about it. So I guess I need to tell you. And I'm thinking I'm the one. I stole the 2 t-shirts. And I'm going to tell you that I stole 2 t-shirts. Because I'm so stupidly honest. And I wouldn't take it back. I don't take back the honesty because I'm watching my wife and she has a very small network. And the only people that she has in her network are those that respect her power and fear it. Her dad, oh my gosh, they have such a toxic relationship, the 2 of them. There is no truth and openness between them except what they choose. And they strategically don't probe much deeper with each other. It's just, oh, that's what you told me. That's what I believe. And everyone else is the bad guy. They're pretty much estranged from other people. And the only people that both of them have in their life are people that are very fearful of them. None of my children are really talking to each other. My 2 daughters, they have sort of a superficial relationship. My oldest, because she fully drank the Kool-Aid of my wife, and she pretty much hates me. I mean, she hasn't said those words to me that she hates me, but I know hate is a feeling, so I'm sure that that's been in the lexicon of her feelings at some point or another. And she's always lashing out at my youngest, and I think right now everyone's trying to be on their best behavior for my youngest because my youngest has consistently said that she wants to come and live with me. So the only thing that they can do to stop the youngest from living with me is to paint me as the monster that my oldest, my middle, and hopefully they can now convince my youngest, which is okay. Because I'll just be honest here in my diary, I'm very, very close to the end of my energy bar. I'll put it that way. I don't want to quit or give up or stop or put distance between me and my children. All I'm saying is I only have so much more energy left on my energy bar for this fight. I can't continue to move through divorce and I have 1 child that is not speaking to me because I didn't leave my wife soon enough and I allowed that toxicity to stay and fester So he pretty much hates me. He hates me for things that I did as well. It's not that my hands are clean. My hands are not clean, but staying in a toxic relationship and the toxic person is feeding bad info to other people and flat out lying to them hurt. I stayed in a relationship, and my middle child, we have a very distant relationship now. It's not good, and I can feel the distance growing with me and my youngest. This is bad. This is toxic, and I'm sitting here in a parking lot right now. I'm supposed to be in New York with my youngest. It was going to be our first time seeing the Rockefeller tree, and I'm not there because she doesn't feel safe going anywhere without her mom and sister. So now they've got to keep it nice and tight, and I'm nice and tight and keep me out of it. And I understand that, but I know at some point I'm not going to be able to try to elbow my way into the lives of any of the people that I have called family. They don't want anything to do with me. And most of it's based on a lie. Lies told by my soon-to-be ex. And I understand that I probably won't ever walk. I'm scared. I'll say I'm scared. This is my diary. I'm scared that I'll never walk any of my, at least my middle daughter. I won't walk her down the aisle to give her away, quote unquote, give her away. I'm scared that I won't be the person that she can talk to for guy advice. And I'm fearful that she will hold this anger that she has and disproportionately apply it to every area of her life. And she'll just be so angry. She's so confused. And she's been manipulated. But she also is making her own choices. I'm scared that this infection will spread to my youngest as well. But I'm not going to move as if I'm scared. I'm going to move like I always have, but I'll do that without my ex. I will be hopeful, and I will try, and I will just be there forever. If any of my children ever change their minds, if they ever want me in their lives again, I'll be here waiting with open arms, and just going to continue to extend my olive branches because I love them very much. But I don't know if you can tell from the tone of this versus especially from some of my first things that are diary entries that are no longer public. It was just a rant, and I was angry. And now this, I can feel it. And some months ago, I made the choice. I said, look, you only have one life. And if your life is not going to exist with relationships with your children, are you going to make the choice to be happy anyway? Or are you going to commit suicide? Are you going to take on an addiction? Are you going to escape? Are you going to run? Or are you going to be happy regardless of anything? Are you going to continue to seek to be happy? And I can tell you, life has given me so many curveballs, and it's been so rough. It's been so rough. I'm choosing that I'm going to be happy no matter what. And I'm not going to hurt anyone else ever again. And I didn't realize just how much putting other people first would be so harmful to others. I always put not necessarily my wife first, but I put an ideal first. When our relationship reached toxic levels at different points, I remember a statement that my wife said that should have tipped me off. And it did. I guess maybe that was the first and only time she said it, but we've had our share of breakups and fallouts, and she's moved out and got her own place before and things like that. And she told me that whenever she came back, it was because I convinced her, never because she wanted to. And that statement really helped me understand the problems that we'd had for so long, because I never felt like she wanted me or our relationship. I never felt like that. I felt like there were some things that she was doing that sort of did look like she wanted to be together, but it never felt like she wanted to be together. And it wasn't until she said that. I've never wanted to be with you. I was just convinced. Every time I left, I only came back because you convinced me. I'm like, wow, that's why it always felt that way. That's why I always felt unwanted, because you didn't want this. That's why I felt like what I was doing, you didn't really want it. You were just convinced. So she was just accepting me in her life. She was accepting my protection. She was accepting my provisioning. She was accepting my financial support, but she didn't want it. When you understand that you're not wanted and you develop a little bit of self-esteem that I think I do have now. I don't have a lot. I'm gonna be honest, because I don't know where it comes from. I think self-esteem comes from sort of how you're brought up, and I wasn't really brought up with a lot of self-esteem or knowledge of self-worth. Like what am I? I just kind of was always in the service of others, according to my mom. Like, my father wanted to be very useful with his hands, and my mother, it seemed like anyway, she was a very helpful person. She seemed to always want to, she taught kids in elementary school, and she was always on a ministry at church. So it seemed like she was modeling a servant's mindset, a Christian servant serving others. But she was also really only serving her narcissistic need to be needed, and she derived what seemed like she derived her value from the acts that she would do. And I think I took some of that on, which I just got very like, hey, the acts of what I do, that should make things better. Like, here's where I was a really bad person and a really bad husband. I focused a lot on my acts and what I did and what I do. Even in this diary entry, I talked about how I protected, provided, and provisioned for my wife. But I didn't really think about how I was making her feel day to day. See, my wife and most people, and a lot of times most women, it can come off very logical. My wife has great suggestions. She has great ideas. She's one of the smartest people that I know. But there were too many times that I went too far down the logic path and ignored all of the emotions. And I didn't consider how I might make her feel if I delivered a message a certain way, how I might make her feel if I said something in a certain context. And that definitely probably eroded her. And maybe there was a point where she actually did care for me. But as things got tougher and I've learned more things, and she cheated, and her money mistakes and her deception and her betrayals over and over, I just probably went further down my logic rabbit hole. You can't do this, and here's why. Why would you do that? Here's why. Didn't you realize that would happen? What's wrong with you? Stuff like that. It was a real toxic display of correction, hovering, managing, micromanaging. All of these things my wife had to incur and deal with from me. And I'm sure that did not make her feel good. So that's why she looked to feel good by doing other things. She looked to feel good by spending. She looked to feel good by eating. She looked to feel good with other men. She looked to feel good by telling stories, but leaving out the contribution she made to that conflict. She needed to feel good, and her very toxic father does nothing but make her feel good, so she gravitates toward him. And that could have been in direct response to how I did not make her feel good. Wish I'd learned this lesson a lot earlier. Maybe I would be married still, or going to continue to stay married. Or I would have been smart enough to see the writing on the wall and divorced much sooner. Either way, I think both me and my wife would have a much happier life had I learned this lesson much earlier. So I hope this didn't come off as a ranty, finger-pointy, horrible diary entry, but that's how I feel, and I'm thankful that I at least get to drive down and pick up my youngest daughter, and she still does want to spend today with me. Even though we're not in New York, and we're not with some extended family and having a good time, we are, she still wants to see me. And for that, I'm totally grateful. Peace.
Wow, that was the Divorce Diaries podcast. The daily saga will continue tomorrow. The full season's episodes are on Patreon now. Subscribe for early access. Click the Patreon link in the description. Hopefully these entries help our anonymous recorder as a form of his own personal therapy. That's his hope and his intention. Will these recordings of life's curveballs lead this family to the best resolution in the end? We'll keep listening. New episodes are released daily on all podcast players, but all episodes are available on Patreon at Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Until next time.